Hi, welcome into Connor and Coverage. And on this week's episode of Winners and Losers, we're going to be talking about the NFL Draft, measurables, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but go Birds. As you can tell, our first winner from the NFL Draft from a Georgia perspective is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, they weren't the only team to select multiple Georgia Bulldogs, as the Falcons took Justin Schaefer and John Fitzpatrick in the 6th round. The Green Bay Packers took Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt in the 1st. But it's what the Eagles did that impressed us the most here. First, they trade up to get Jordan Davis, who may very well go on to be the best defender in this draft. Then, at pick number 83, they end the free fall that Nakobe Dean was in for a variety of reasons that we'll get to. Georgia had 5 players taken in the 1st round of this NFL draft, and if you go back and watch the tape from last year, you probably noticed that Dean and Davis were the 2 most important. And the Eagles happened to get both of them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited. You know, it'll be nice to be down there coming in with somebody who was with me the whole time and who shares the similar goals and just been with each other for so long. So it'd be nice to see us live some of our dreams out together.
Dean fell in part because of a pectoral injury he suffered in the run-up to the NFL draft. But the Eagles have said on record that injury won't need surgery, and Dean himself added that he's going to be participating fully in the Eagles rookie minicamp coming up. If he ends up being healthy and never ends up needing surgery for this, the Eagles won't have just gotten a steal. They may have just made the single best pick in the entire NFL draft. On Friday evening, right before Dean was taken, the Falcons had just selected our second off-ball linebacker, not from the University of Georgia, not named Nakobe Dean. At that point in time, after Dean was selected, you had some wondering, maybe we should jump ship and root for the other Bird team that actually has Georgia players. Now, that was before the Falcons took 2 Georgia players on Saturday in Schaefer and Fitzpatrick. But with what the Eagles did going forward, they're going to have Georgia fans following them and excited to see how Dean and Davis develop. And if they do like they did at the University of Georgia, it won't come as a surprise if the Eagles find themselves winning another Super Bowl sometime soon.
Oh, man. Again, I think I've said this 50 times in the sense of what are we looking for in players, right? We're looking for high character guys. We're looking for guys that love football. We're looking for guys that are tough. We're looking for guys that have high football IQ. And he checks every single one of those boxes, right? And competitive, right? That's the last one. And he checks every one of those boxes. And he's a leader on that field for Georgia, right? His football IQ is so high. His instincts are so high. And that's just been my experience with players too, that guys with that are highly instinctive, they just find a way to make plays over and over and over and over again. And that's it's just so hard not to get excited about it. You right there, I think you need to get a little more excited back there, all right, about this. Yeah, no, you just look back. It's exciting. This guy he loves ball. You can't get around guys.
Now, Dean's fall is going to lead a little bit into our second category on here tonight, and it's our first loser. Now, Dean himself is obviously not a loser, but the reason that he fell in this draft wasn't just limited to his injuries. And the reason that he fell is similar to the same reason Jamari Sawyer waited longer than most thought he would have ended up waiting. When Nakobe Dean measured in at the NFL Combine, he came in at 5'11" with 31-inch arms. When Jamari Sawyer measured in at that same Combine, despite having the second most bench reps of anyone there, he measured in at 6'3", which even for an offensive guard is on the smaller side. That's why he ended up having to wait till pick number 195 to get this call from the Los Angeles Chargers.
Been waiting on this call. Appreciate you so much. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Charger. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah!
Dean and Sawyer were both outstanding football players in their time at Georgia. Anyone who saw the two of them play would say they were probably the two of the better players in the sport. But the reasons that they fell, measurables, as you've heard so often if you followed the NFL draft this weekend, serves as just another reminder in how different the NFL game is from the college one. In the NFL draft in particular, it shows us that teams aren't looking necessarily for what you did at the college level, but what you could possibly be going forward. It's also why measurables help Georgia in that sense as well. Trayvon Walker went number 1 overall because of those measurables. Quay Walker was the first linebacker off the board because of the measurables that were superior to that of Nakobe Dean. Now, Walker and Dean both had stellar careers playing for Glenn Schumann, who could very easily be a winner here. But we're not just going to honor one assistant coach. We're going to honor a couple of them here because it'd be unfair to just single one guy out. That tends to be the case when you have 15 players drafted in a single draft. Trey Scott had 3 defensive linemen off the board in the first round, with Devontae Wyatt going to the Packers at pick 28 and Jordan Davis going pick 13 to the Philadelphia Eagles, in addition to Trayvon Walker being the number 1 overall pick. By the end of the third round, Glenn Schumann had 3 of his linebackers drafted, with Dean going to pick number 83 in the Eagles, and Channing Tindall going pick 102 to the Miami Dolphins. Del McGee got to celebrate on both Friday and Saturday when James Cook was drafted in the second round by the Buffalo Bills on Friday, and Zamir White went to the Las Vegas Raiders on Saturday. Now, all 3 of those coaches having success shouldn't come as a surprise to you, in part because they're the longest tenured assistants on Kirby Smart's staff.
Continuity, I think that helps. I think the same thing at linebacker with Coach Schumann, that stuff helps. We're going through some transition now, but when you hire good coaches that want to teach, that happens pretty quick.
You're also starting to see the benefits of continuity in another position on the Georgia roster, and that would be tight end. Consider that John Fitzpatrick, who broke both of his feet during the course of last season, had only 5 receptions and didn't get a combine invite, still found a way to hear his name called on draft day. In part, Hartley deserves a lot of credit for that. Bulldogs have had a tight end taken in the last 4 drafts, with Hartley in charge for 3 of them. Charlie Warner in 2020, Trey McKinney in 2021, and John Fitzpatrick this past year. The past 3 years have all seen tight ends from Georgia who had less than 10 catches in their final season all end up getting picked. It speaks to the development that Hartley has done there and the development he continues to have as an assistant coach. And when you look at Georgia's current tight end room, brimming with options, or Jalen Carter on the defensive line, or running backs Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton, you understand why the continuity we've seen with Del McGee, Trey Scott, Glenn Schumann, now, of course, Todd Hartley there as well, is going to lend to future NFL draft success for this Georgia program. Now, anyone that regularly reads our winners and losers column knows that sometimes you're stretching a little bit with the second loser, and we're doing that here because, like so many of the college offenses that faced Georgia last year, a lot of records got broken by Georgia. 15 Bulldogs were taken in this draft. That is the most ever in a single draft, besting the mark set by LSU in 2020 and Ohio State in 2004 when those programs had 14 players taken. Georgia had 5 defensive players taken in the first round. That is also a record, besting the mark previously set by Miami in 2004 and Florida State in 2006. Georgia had 7 defensive players taken in the first 3 rounds once you include Dean and Tindall. That's also the most ever. By comparison, to that point in the draft, the ACC and the Big 12 had 7 players taken from their entire conferences. It was a record-breaking weekend all around for the Georgia program, especially when you consider coming into it, the most that they had ever had taken in a single draft was 9, which happened just last year. By the end of the third round alone, Georgia had already tied that mark and got another 6 on Saturday. All that draft success leads us into our final draft winner, which is Georgia's recruiting department. Now, anyone that has followed this program will know that Georgia doesn't need any extra help when it comes to recruiting. From the moment Kirby Smart stepped in as the new head coach for this program back in 2016, Georgia's been one of the best recruiting programs in the entire country. And even in a new age with NIL and transfer portal, Georgia still found a way to stay ahead of the curve. And this draft is only going to help them with that coming forward. Consider this quote by Green Bay Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst. Where they're coming from is about as close as you can get to the National Football League. That's the best recruiting pitch you could possibly ever get, and it's coming from the general manager of the Green Bay Packers. Now, Gutekunst shows his work here as well when you consider the last 3 first-round picks for Green Bay have all been Georgia defenders. It seemed like any time a Georgia player went off the board this weekend, as they did to 12 different NFL teams, it seemed like another recruit took notice and tweeted about it. Social media was flooded with top targets, even in the upcoming 2023 class, taking note of how well Georgia had done from an NFL draft perspective. It's still very early on in the 2023 recruiting cycle, and yet Georgia still has the number 3 ranked class as of this moment. But armed with a national championship and the greatest draft haul this past weekend, Kirby Smart's not going to need any extra help convincing the best prospects in America that Georgia is the place to best develop your future. For Connor and Coverage, my name is Connor Riley. This has been a DawgNation production.